Hey there, welcome to How's That Logical? I wanted to talk a little bit today about Jimmy Dore and TYT drama. Now, I meant to make this video a while back, but one thing or another came into play and I wasn't able to, and then I thought it was over, then it wasn't, and then I thought it was over, then it wasn't. But I wanted to touch on a few things today that I think are kind of being portrayed as wrong. I'm going to be looking at the Jimmy Dore video that was done yesterday, which is July 2nd. Today's the 3rd. Wow, today's the 3rd. And the reason why I picked Jimmy's is because the video is, well, really well done. I don't agree with Jimmy a lot, and I might pick some other videos that illustrate my point. But anyway, let's just get into the video right now.
So today we're going to be addressing, of course, and hopefully this will be the last time we have to address this, right? So that I think that is. I think
there is no way this is the last time that he's going to address this.
It's important. And that's why we're addressing it, because it's super important. And so I want to break it down. Kyle Kulinski covered this topic, the topic of the Young Turks doing McCarthy smears to Julian Assange, Aaron Mate, and me. And Jen called me a Nazi. I said I'm a Nazi. Said I'm a right-winger. Said I'm, all.
I've seen every video, and I don't remember Cenk calling Jimmy a Nazi. He did say that his audience is right-wing, which I also don't agree with. I think Jimmy's audience are some right-wing, for sure, but I think they're Democrats that are really, really angry with Democrats.
All this kind of stuff. And then, of course, Ana weaponized a personal incident from years ago and did a false hashtag Me Too on me, which fell flat because everyone knew it was a chance. It was her trying to deflect from being criticized for her McCarthy smears of Aaron Mate. And in fact, that's what she told me in her DM to me. So let's go over it. So I just want to break it down. And to be honest, Kyle said a lot of things in there that I was appreciative of him saying. So that was very nice. He said things like, of course, Jimmy's not a right-winger. Jimmy's not a grifter. Jimmy is a guy who's on the left and criticizes the Democrats from those. So that was super helpful that he said all that. And I also, I think yesterday I said it too on the show that I was super grateful to Kyle for his support of Force to Vote. He was the most eloquent defender of Force to Vote. And I was really happy about that. I was really grateful. And so I want to get that. I want to say that. And but I also want to say I was deeply disappointed. And I'll say hurt. Okay, I'll go with that far. That he handled this the way he handled it. So
now, to be fair, I've seen the Kyle Kulinski video, and I think he handled it really well. I think it was strong. I think that he was put in a really bad situation where he had two friends, not only two friends, but two friends that can affect his career. And anyone that pretends that career isn't on everyone's mind is lying or stupid.
I will break it down, and here we go.
So obviously I'm going to talk here about the drama between Jimmy Dore and Aaron Mate versus the Young Turks. So I just want to reiterate, I don't want to do this segment. I don't want to talk about it. I've bent over backwards to stay out of this fight. Now, some of you might not like that. I don't care. I don't care. I'll never hide a single thing from any of you when it comes to policy, But when it comes to personal shit, I don't want to get involved in it, and I want to stay out of it.
Okay, now I'll just briefly comment on that, and we'll talk about it more as we go on. But it was incorrect of him to state it as drama. Okay, and we'll explain that further. And so that was the big problem, was that he originally didn't want to get involved. Well, let's wait.
At that time, you know, we were sort of at the peak of Russiagate, and I know, because I know all these people personally, that the Russiagate thing bothered Jimmy just as much off air as it did on air.
I also want to make it clear, I don't know any of these people personally. I have been in a Zoom call with Cenk and Ana before, and when we were off camera, they seemed incredibly sincere. Now, that doesn't mean anything to anybody that I think they seem sincere. Only I know just how good I am at being able to flush out a person's personality. But they seemed very passionate towards progressive policies.
True.
He felt like it sort of ruined friendships, and he couldn't believe that there were people who were falling for that bullshit.
True.
And so the more TYT would cover it, the more angry he would get. And then what would happen is Jimmy would go on air and do his show, and he would never like directly or overtly call out the Young Turks at that time, but there would be like little potshots here and there.
I never named them, and what I was criticizing was their policy choices, right? I was talking about on the facts of Russiagate, not personal.
I remember this time, right after Jimmy left the TYT show, he would every once in a while just say left-wing YouTube shows are getting Russiagate wrong. And maybe he didn't say TYT, but being a person that watches both shows, I knew who he was talking about for sure. Now, there's nothing wrong with that at all. He can completely say, I think TYT is wrong about Russiagate. So I don't know why he's not saying, like when he says, I never mentioned them by name, he's kind of like saying, I didn't say it was TYT, when I know, he knows, Kyle knows, you know, everybody knows he was talking about TYT and sure, other giant progressive shows. Where other giant progressive shows? I don't know any other giant progressive shows that were talking about Russia, to be honest. TYT seemed to be the only one. And for a while, I bought into it too. Yeah.
Didn't make it personal. I kept it all in the facts, and I never mentioned them. I would say lefty news shows that are pushing Russiagate, which 99% of all the lefty news shows were pushing Russiagate. So to say that I was taking...
I don't remember what other shows were. I mean, I'm not saying there weren't any, but I pretty much am tuned into, I think, all the news shows, not just left. And I remember just TYT. I can't think of any.
Pot shots directly at them. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there.
But I think it is important to...
It was definitely at them. I mean, it's maybe just a call I'm making, but yeah, it was.
always remind the viewer that he does have a working relationship with TYT. He is a part of their network. He's on their platform.
Yes, that's, of course, right. That's correct. That certainly should be known. Yeah.
About how, other lefty shows are not, telling you the truth about this Russiagate thing.
Yep.
And so that went on for a long time. I think at some point, eventually, somebody at TYT caught wind of the fact that Jimmy was taking shots at them. And, that led Ana to go on Twitter and basically say something along the lines of, I think Jimmy's a grifter and I don't think he's an honest actor.
Okay, I think what Jimmy's about to say is the same thing I'm going to say. Jimmy's an honest actor. Anybody that thinks that Jimmy is not sincere is out of their mind, because you can just tell. Like there's certain news show hosts that I watch, and I don't know, you can kind of just tell they're saying stuff. But like right now, I'm not working for anybody. I sound sincere, I hope. Jimmy sounds sincere all the time, and everybody that I hear talk about him when he's off camera talk about how he's has the same policies off camera as he does on camera, which is probably what he's about to say.
So again, not responding to my critiques, just coming with a blanket smear, because that's how TYT handles criticism, is they don't respond to the criticism. They just do some kind of outlandish blanket smear of you. And that's what Ana did. And he's right. That was the genesis of all this.
Now, that being said, yeah, my thoughts on Ana. I like Ana. I'd rather her be on my side than not on my side. That being said, she seems like someone that can get angry, say, I don't give a fuck, and do something crazy. like that. Like immediately react to something, like a tweet or a text. And I can see her getting angry with Jimmy after one of his videos and just being like, fucking Jimmy. Jimmy's a grifter, blah, 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 blah. So that's not exactly the best way to handle things, I think. It might have been better to do a video on it, maybe, like say why Jimmy's wrong.
Right.
I don't agree with Ana on that. She said that it was fucked up. But as soon as I read that tweet, I said, uh-oh, here we go. This shit is about to get nuclear because Jimmy Dore has one gear, and that gear is nuclear.
Okay, and
that's another point I find interesting. Kyle is right about that. Jimmy, when I saw the tweet from Ana, I remember talking to my wife, who she loves when I talk about news or politics. That's sarcasm. I said, this is it. They're going to war. And later on, Jimmy calls it not a war. It's a figure of speech. No, they're not at war. But I knew that Jimmy was going to come back full force because that's what he does.
Well, let me just show this. So he makes it, I don't get it. It makes it sound like that's a negative. First of all, he shows a bunch of videos where I'm completely level-headed and arguing in good faith for the Young Turks, but which kind of undermines what he just said, that I only have one speed. But here, I don't mind people saying that. That's actually, I take it as a compliment, because we need people on the left who are going to go nuclear, because they won't even go conventional. They won't even do anything. So they're doing nothing. So people want someone to go nuclear. But I always thought that was a good thing. I thought Kyle agreed with that, because when he was on Joe Rogan, this is what they said.
You know what's been amazing? Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore's fucking podcaster. He's
a good friend of mine. I
love Jimmy Dore. He's calling everybody out. Everybody on the left, everybody on the right.
Breathes fire.
He really does.
He breathes fire.
He doesn't give a fuck. He goes hard. He was doing this.
So there you go. And I just want to remind everybody how this so that was the genesis. But here's the most recent genesis of what happened.
They said Aaron Mate yelled at me. And so
Aaron Mate lied. Aaron Mate. Everyone cares what Aaron Mate has to say, right? Okay. The guy who denies that Syrian children were killed with chemical attacks. Yeah.
And
fuck
gets
Aaron
paid by
Mate. Fuck you. Anyway, let's move on. Let's end the freaking pod. I can't.
Okay, see, that's what happens.
I can't stand that guy, and I can't stand the very intentional disinformation they put out there in regard to disgusting dictators around the world. The very people they seem to be working for, to be quite honest with you. Let's move on.
All right, we're done.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
So that's an example of how she can get angry and just act out. I mean, I don't think there's ever a point. I don't think Aaron Mate deserves fuck Aaron Mate. Who cares what he thinks? A lot of people care what he thinks, for sure. I've talked to him briefly, and he seemed like a really nice guy. He's definitely done wonderful work in regards to Syria. But anyway, that video of Ana is basically the equivalent of, hey, you, let's fight. I mean, seriously.
So let's state the obvious. That was gross. That was a smear. It's so absurd that the first time I watched it, I literally laughed out loud. I laughed out loud. Cenk was just mad that Aaron responded to one of his tweets on Israel and Palestine where Cenk said something about sky gods, and Aaron dunked on him. But everybody dunked on Cenk for that tweet. Hassan Piker, his nephew, dunked on him for that tweet. Cenk took it personally that Aaron went after him on that tweet, and so I think that's what led to this segment or this portion of the post game. But yeah, there's no excuse for this. This is ridiculous. Of course, Aaron Mate is not paid by dictators or paid by the Russians. He's a great journalist who's done a lot of great work. So
that is kind of amazing that TYT would say that they're being paid by the Russians or dictators. That's the kind of thing, if you say that, you better follow that up with evidence right afterwards. I guess I don't understand why they would say that. I think that's not necessarily wrong, because I don't know. He could be. I just don't have any evidence of it at all. I mean, and if I did say Aaron's paid by Russians, I'd be following up with, and here's why I think that. I certainly wouldn't just say that out of anger, I hope, or I would at least retract it later.
What do I think of that? Of course, I think of that the exact same thing that all of you fucking knew I thought of it, which is that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Okay. That's good to hear. Anything you want to say, Aaron, so far?
Yeah, no, I appreciate Kyle saying that. I really do. Yeah. And I like Kyle. I appreciate the work he does. And so I'm thankful that he said that. The problem that I had with the segment comes afterwards, where he tries to, I think, draw a distinction between what the middle-aged McCarthyites, a.k.a. the Young Turks, said about me and what they said about you. And to me, there's no distinction. They smeared me. And then when they got called out for that, instead of owning up to it, they then tried to smear you and blackmail you. And what I take issue with is any attempt to downplay that and dismiss that as personal drama, which is not. It's just a continued smear attempt. And a refusal to recognize that is, I think, what I think Kyle is missing here in his segment.
I agree 100%. And so let's keep going.
So Crystal and I were planning to have Jimmy on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends one day. We were planning to have Cenk on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends one day. And then as we watched this, we decided, you know what? We don't want to have either one of them on right now, because then we would be responsible for getting in the middle of this absolute mess. And we would have to ask really uncomfortable questions that are really personal in nature. And I don't want to have anything to do with some personal shit.
That's not true.
Nothing at all. I care about policy. I don't care about personal shit.
I'm not sure why Jimmy says that's not true. It would definitely be a personal nature. One of the things that I've thought this entire time is sexual harassment shouldn't be done on video on a YouTube show. It should be done in courts. So I don't know why Jimmy doesn't agree with that. I think that would be really hard. Now, that being said, I think Kyle and Crystal should have had them on the show and gotten both of their perspectives and had someone. It'd be great if somebody as skilled as Kyle and Crystal questioned them to get down to the bottom of it, because clearly Jimmy and Cenk and Ana need a mediator. I mean, one of the hard things that make it difficult when you're doing a show is you have no one to check you. You're just doing it. Like right now, if I said the moon is made of cheese, the moon's made of cheese. That's it. The moon's made of cheese. there's no Kyle or Crystal there to go, now hold on a second, Jason. You just said the most of cheese, and here's some evidence of why it isn't, and that's ridiculous. That is a cool thing when you have good mediators. So I don't know why they would not do that. Sure, it would be hard, but wow, how valuable would that be to have Kyle and Crystal, talk to each of them separately? And I mean, I'd love to have them on a show together. I'd mediate the shit out of that.
You wouldn't? I don't. So you go ahead. You want to say something, Aaron?
Well, if you care about policy, then why not? And you recognize that the smear of me was ridiculous. Why not just call that out to begin with? Because look, my problem here is that when people stay silent on something so egregious as slander, then you're giving sort of tacit endorsement to it, even if you think it's obvious what everyone's going to think your opinion is. If prominent people on the left say nothing when someone gets accused of working for Russia or for dictators, I see that as a tacit green light, because like that means it's a question of like, are there red lines or not in media? So like, if you were to criticize me for my positions, if you were to criticize me for going on Tucker Carlson, as some people do, that's a criticism, and that's fair to do that, and we can debate the merits of that. But when you lie about someone and you basically invent a claim that can seriously damage someone's reputation and career, and that to me is a red line, and that deserves to be called out. And the problem I have is like trying to conflate the ensuing controversy over this with drama, when really, again, what this was just a smear. And if you think it's fucked up now, then why couldn't you call it out when it began? Because I really believe that if people had called it out, more prominent people had called it out earlier, that wouldn't have given the Young Turks the green light to keep going, to keep doubling down, to keep attacking me, and then extend this to you when they made up this bullshit sexual harassment charge against you. So again, yeah, that's the problem I have with this. It's like it's not giving proper enough focus on the thing that started this whole thing, which was them slandering me and not being held accountable for it.
The thing about that is Kyle and Sagar just started a new show. Okay? And before that, they were on The Rising. How many would you guess audience members of them as a couple, as a duo, watch TYT, and how many of them watch Jimmy Dore? And is it their job to take something that probably should have never ended up on a YouTube video and debunk it, unpack it? Because I can see them thinking, look, if we take Jimmy's side, we're going to lose a bunch of people that watch TYT and are TYT fans, and vice versa. If we take TYT's side, we're going to lose people that watch our show that are loyal to Jimmy. So it's a big deal. I mean, when you have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and that's how you're making your living, you want to stay focused on policy, of course, like the progressive policies, if that's what your show's about. But to lose a whole bunch of viewers because of something you think and possibly hope is going to go away in a week, I can see not wanting to touch that. I got nothing to lose. I have a very small channel, but I'd like to think that I would say something, because especially once it got heated. Like when it first started, I thought, oh boy. But once it started escalating, I thought somebody needs to look at this and stop it, because all of these people are allies to the progressive movement, and they need to be working together. which goes into a whole thing about how I think Jimmy handles himself when he criticizes people on the left.
And just for the record, of all the people who've apologized for their statements in this, there's only one person, and that was me. 7 years ago, I apologized for a joke.
That's right.
I made to a friend.
Here's the thing that Jimmy doesn't get about the apology comment that Kyle's going to make. Kyle's not talking about your original apology, Jimmy. He's talking about how you handled it on air because you laughed a lot. So here it is. Let's pretend that it's definitely true that it happened exactly how Jimmy said. If you haven't seen the video, maybe I'll put it up here, or maybe I'll just tell you now. Jimmy claims that he walked into the studio one day at TYT and Ana bent over, her skirt rode up, and you could see her ass and thong. And I'm going to do my best Jimmy impression. And he said, hey, Ana, nice news skirt. Now, he then claims that he felt really bad because she was humiliated. Now, my first problem with that is he didn't think that was a bad thing to say. At least he hasn't said that yet. He thought, oh no, my friend and boss is humiliated. So then he decided to apologize and give her a card that said, sorry, I'll never make a comment about your clothes again. Fine. But while he was telling the story on his show recently, a couple weeks ago, he kept talking about how funny it was. Because he kept saying, and then everybody laughed. Everybody laughed. Like, hey Ana, nice news skirt. And everybody laughed. And they laughed too hard, he said. Pay attention to how he acts at the beginning of this video when he's hurt about Kyle and what he said. He's very solemn. He seems very serious. He seems like he means what he says. And he sounds sincere. Now, you can't talk about a time when you apologized for a bad joke and then laugh and comment about how goddamn funny it was. Oh, my God, everybody laughed. But I said sorry because I felt bad because she was humiliated. That's what Kyle's about to talk about. Not your original apology, your rendition of the apology.
And immediately, without a pressure campaign, without a blackmail threat, I apologized to a friend and a coworker and my boss for a joke. And she accepted, and that's water under the bridge. And then she weaponized it 7 years later when she's getting criticized for her McCarthyism to try to distract people.
This I agree with. Okay. Let's pretend for a second that Ana wasn't doing it to blackmail Jimmy, to threaten him to lay off TYT. Let's just hypothetically pretend that for a second, okay? And behind the scenes, off video, she's thinking to herself, I don't know, I had all these feelings come up again about that time, and I feel like, not related to anything Jimmy's ever said on his show about how TYT's got the Russiagate thing wrong, and just all by herself, she realized nowadays and today, because that was like 7 years ago that the news skirt thing happened. She decided to finally do something about it. Not commenting on all the criticisms that Jimmy says about TYT. You'd probably hold back on pursuing some kind of sexual harassment allegation or charge, because it would appear to be blackmail. If, I mean, think about it, like, you decide, oh my God, I can't live with it any longer. I'm thinking, this guy's a threat to other women. I've got to do something about it. Oh, but if I do that, people are going to think that I'm doing it simply because Jimmy doesn't support TYT anymore, and he's always dumping on us. Oh, and what you definitely wouldn't do is write in a text that I'm going to do that. You are always criticizing TYT and being brutal with your words towards things that we say. By the way, you know what you did to me all those years ago about talking about me sexually, and you remember what you did. Well, things are going to change. 100%. Even if you were being sincere, horrible timing. And the reason why it seems like that is blackmail is because that is blackmail. Once again, I love Ana, and I'm so happy she's on the side of progressives because she's a fighter. And unfortunately, that same personality can sometimes do things that, well, weren't thought through. And in my head, this is what I picture, okay? I picture this. Ana saw a tweet or a video that pissed her off about, that had Jimmy talking about TYT again. And whatever, it's 2 a.m. I have no idea. All right, okay? I would have loved to have known what time that was, but that's beside the point. And she's just like, you know what? I'm going to fix this right now. Boom, 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 send. Smack. What in the hell did I just do? Goes in the next day or calls Cenk or talks to Cenk and said, oh my God, I can't believe I just did this. What are we going to do? And Cenk probably was pretty upset, I would assume. This is all me making this up. I'm just running through how I think it might have happened. And then Cenk said, well, now we have to address it. Because Jimmy's not going to let that go. And Jimmy's not, definitely, because, and Jimmy's right. He says, like, what else was I supposed to do? And I understand that totally. I've had somebody say something about me before to someone that I care about. In this case, he's caring about his reputation and his show and his wife. And whether it's true or not is irrelevant. You're going to try to get ahead of this, because if someone threatens you that they're going to come out with this information, you better, the best thing to do is come out and say, okay, this is what happened before you get to it. And look, here's a text that says she's going to blackmail me. I mean, I think he made the right move. I don't like the way he does things. I think the way he talks, is very juvenile. And I know he often says I'm a pot-smoking comedian in his garage. That's all just, you're past that now. You're no longer that. I don't care where you're doing your show. I don't care what you smoke, and I don't care that you're funny on stage. What I care about is the fact that you need to stop thinking or using that as an excuse. You do have a responsibility. You are really good at what you do. You are a powerful tool for progressives, and stop berating yourself. You're more than that, which I don't really think that is a bad thing to be, but I don't think it's a good example anymore. I think you could say something like, and you should listen to me because I have a lot of subscribers, I make a lot of sense, and I back it up with facts. That's what you should probably say from now on. Switch it over. Start saying you're really a successful talk show host that talks about progressive matters. Just saying.
And then Kyle let it distract him. So I'm going to show you what happened. He was talking about why he didn't want to have people on the show. We're not going to have anybody on the show. Well, what happened was they booked me like a month earlier, right? So like on June 1st, I was texting with Crystal, and I said, she asked me to tweet out their new show. She was like, hey, could you help promote our new show? And I said, done. I did it. I helped promote their new show. And I said, looking forward to Kyle, KKF. Kyle has not floated any dates to me yet. And she said, all right, I'll bug him and thank you. You've always been so good to us, and I am truly grateful. And so you heard Kyle also refer to me on the Joe Rogan clip as his good friend. So the way they treated me after this was not like you would treat a friend or even an enemy. The way they treated me was unbelievably rude and unprofessional to the extreme.
Okay, there's a little problem there. Jimmy just said, the way they treated me is not how you would treat a friend. It was very rude and unprofessional. Those are two different things. It was probably really difficult to send a text to Jimmy to say, look, I don't think we should do the show because this is too nuts right now. And I've done things like this before where something was really hard to do and I procrastinate, and then eventually, oh, it's over. And you just don't feel like confronting the situation. Now, is that the right way to go? No, that's not the right way to go. That's the wrong way to go. I do understand how that can happen, though. And as a friend, I think Jimmy should realize that Kyle and Crystal are having a hard time dealing with the fact that they're friends with not only Jimmy and TYT, but they have a relationship with two of the biggest progressive shows on YouTube. If people don't think that's important, they're lying to you or they're stupid. It's a huge deal. It could seriously hurt their life. This stuff that Jimmy and TYT are talking about could affect Crystal and Kyle's life and how they do it. Now, they all have this unspoken agreement that they speak all the time, actually, that they're allowed to talk to each other about criticize each other about policy. But I've never heard any of them say anything like, oh, also, we're able to make each other feel uncomfortable on a personal level, if you like. That's, once you can't have a friendship and consider that part of your show. You can, but that's what's going on. That's the problem. There's a problem here. That's it. And I think Jimmy should care. Like if it were me, if I were Jimmy, I might feel upset, but I would not demand that Kyle and Crystal just take his side, because I would know what that might do to their life.
So you see that I have a date booked. So she gives me the date. I picked June 24th. So when June 44th comes around, I'm ready to go do this show. And I realize they haven't given me a link. They haven't nothing. There's no text reminding me, no nothing.
Okay. Here's the problem with this spot. Jimmy knows they're not getting back to him because of it. And I'd love to see more down the text, but they're not getting back to you. You're not getting back to me. You're not getting back to me. And then, well, I believe he says in a second. Well, let's just hear it. Hold on.
So we're supposed to go at 10 a.m. and at 5 to 10, I texted them both.
Okay. 5 to 10, he texts them both. And granted, maybe he texts him a whole bunch of times. But I feel as though Jimmy was like kind of fishing for a problem. On the other side, Kyle and Crystal, Jesus, get back to Jimmy. If that's true, get back to him. I mean, really. I mean, it's hard. You're going to have to do it anyway. And as you can see in a second, Jimmy says that they got back, Kyle got back to him around like 12, which is 2 hours after they were supposed to do the show. But they would have talked to each other before then. I don't know. It's weird.
Saying, hey, I have this on my calendar today. Are we still doing it? And they ghosted me. So they decided not to have me on the show, and they didn't tell me. They didn't send me an email the day ahead of time or even the day or whatever. Nothing. And they didn't respond to my text when I sent it to them. They just ghosted me. And then about 2.5 hours later in the afternoon, so I was supposed to do it at 10 a.m., around 12:30, they sent me a text. And here's the text, okay? And the reason why I bring this up is because Kyle brought it up. So now that's why I'm bringing this up. So I'm going to tell you. So here's my text. Are we doing a show today? My calendar says we are. And Kyle says, hey, Jimmy. So again, that was, at 2.5 hours later, after they ghosted me, he says, hey, Jimmy, we are trying to stay as far away from the war between you and Aaron and TYT as possible. On the policy, we agree much more with you, Russia, Syria, forced to vote, etc. We're disturbed by Anna's attacks on Aaron, but we also didn't like the way you talked about Anna's dress.
Okay. This is the part right here where he's about to be confused or I guess pretend to be confused. Kyle's talking about how you spoke about her dress in your most recent video about that story, where you start laughing hysterically about how funny you were. And that is what he's talking about, in my opinion. Also, I would say saying nice news skirt to someone may not exactly have been the best thing in the world. It's not something for us to judge you on, because we don't know what really happened. But Jimmy's story is disturbing and a little cringy. It just is. It's really cringy. So yeah, Kyle's talking about Jimmy's, the way he handled it a couple weeks ago when he brought up the story and his way of telling the story, which if you listen to it, what you get from it is Jimmy is hysterical. And oh my God, this joke landed in this room. That's what Kyle was thinking was bad. Yeah.
Effing F. Are you kidding me? That's my good friend making a false equivalency, validating a complete, transparently bullshit attack? Yes.
And is Ana your executive? Is Ana the executive in this situation?
Yes, she's the executive in the situation.
Huh.
Okay, so here's another thing I don't really know. I've been watching TYT and Jimmy Dore and Kyle and for probably 6 years, somewhere around there, maybe. I remember the day Cenk said that Ana was now like it was when Cenk was running for senator. He announced that Ana was now I don't remember what her title was, but a boss. So I didn't realize, or do I know, and it would be interesting to find out if Ana actually was a boss back then. Because that is a huge deal. Let's pretend again for a second that Ana's right and Jimmy was always making sexual comments towards Ana and talking about how she dressed and flirting or whatever. And Ana wasn't a boss Because I don't know, maybe she was a boss to him, but now, but maybe when Cenk became a senator, Ana got a promotion to more of a boss. I don't know. Maybe Jimmy's right. I don't know. I wish I knew, because I don't like when I say things that I don't know. But let's pretend that she wasn't. Now, first of all, this is a pretend. It is not easy for a woman to come out and say a man is sexually harassing you. And Jimmy knows that. Jimmy knows that, and he's saying things that people say in their defense that he would normally be criticizing. And again, this is pretend. There's no proof of any of this. This is simply wrong. He's wrong at what he's saying right now. He should be saying, look, this is what I thought happened, and I feel bad, and yes, Anna's correct. It was wrong what I did. It was, or you know, even the little bit that Jimmy admits to doing, and then say, I regret doing that, and mean it. I mean, obviously mean it. Don't just say it. I'm not just giving advice on what to say. I mean, mean it. But he's saying it's not sexual harassment because Ana was his boss. And that doesn't mean that it's sexual harassment even if Ana was your dog, your god, your car. It doesn't matter what she is. There are laws against being rude and saying sexual things towards someone. So the point of her being an executive at the time is kind of moot. Just because she didn't do anything doesn't make her wrong, because a lot of people don't say anything. It's actually really common for a woman not to say anything when they get sexually harassed. So his point about they should have that why didn't she say anything then, or why didn't she fire him, or why did she keep booking him on shows? Because it's a man's world.
As friends of you and Cenk and Ana, we're pressing pause on having anyone involved on the show. We're sorry, Jimmy. Hope you understand. So they didn't press pause, though. They didn't. So they could have just stopped there. Hey, Jimmy, we are trying to stay as far away from as possible. They could have just stopped there. They didn't. They had to keep going. And it got insulting.
I do think Jimmy laughs when he's nervous. I think it might be a defense mechanism. So I'm going to give that some weight. It is possible that I'm misinterpreting his laughter for meaning insincerity to his laughter is him being nervous. I have seen him serious, though, and talk about very serious things that he claims hurt him, and he wasn't laughing. So I don't know. This is something I'm not totally sure about.
And so it was already insulting because they ghosted me, and they didn't give me a heads up that they had decided to cancel me until after we were supposed to do it. Super rude and unprofessional, but that's okay. I'll handle it. So I sent them a text back, and here it is, but I'll read it to you. I said, I'm stunned by this. You are trying to draw a ridiculous false equivalency that ultimately takes the sides of a blackmailing and smearing of me and a McCarthyite smear of Aaron. The way I talked about Anna's dress amounted to me saying nice news skirt. I told this joke at a time when Ana and Cenk were doing segments such as mocking Britney Spears' old cooch in their effort to become the Howard Stern show.
Okay. I had never seen those TYT videos of them rating or trying to guess whose camel toe this was. They would show a close-up of a celebrity's tight crotch area and camel toe, and then and it was Anna's show apparently, maybe, and Cenk would have to guess which celebrity it is. And Cenk was talking very gross about the woman, like commenting how her hips are big and stuff, but not like in a way like you would say it to someone if you were trying to give them clothes, and you might say to your wife, well, I don't know, her hips are kind of bigger than that. You sure you want her? Maybe you shouldn't give her those clothes because it might make her feel bad or something. He was saying it like her hips are big, and he actually at one point said, I wouldn't do her. Those videos are awful, 100% awful. But that doesn't mean that Jimmy has the right to talk like that. If you think that what you said was wrong, then it doesn't matter what environment you're in. If I'm hanging out with a bunch of guys that are crude and I say something rude to a woman that somehow is some sort of in some sexual way bad, I can't later go, I said sorry, and beside, everyone else there thought it was funny, and that's the way everybody talks there. It's wrong or it's not to you. You can't, no one changes their real beliefs based on their environment. They might change their behavior, but they don't change their real beliefs. So what that tells me is Jimmy wants to say, oh God, it's a joke, shut up. Not, wow, I really hurt this person. And it's even irrelevant that's my friend. I hurt this person, and I cannot believe that I said something so stupid. And I certainly am not going to laugh about it right now while I'm telling you the story because it was so funny. No. That's all wrong. No.
And the way I responded to Anna's embarrassment at my joke was to apologize and send her a card immediately without a pressure campaign or threat of a blackmail, as a friend would do.
No. That's not as a friend would do. That's how somebody might react if they just simply thought that they did something wrong. It doesn't have to be a friend. You might have done that to a stranger or an acquaintance, and you might be like, oh my God, what the hell was I thinking? Where did that come from? That was so wrong. I've got to say sorry to this person. They must have felt so embarrassed or humiliated, and I can't believe I did that. Wow, I'm just so stunned at myself that I could have done something so insensitive and ridiculous and thick-skulled and what am I, a Neanderthal? God, that's not how I want to be. That's not who I am. What was I thinking that day? None of that is said. It's all just, hey, they were trying to be like the Howard Stern show. They were rating people's cooch. So what the hell? It's just the way it was. No. If I were on the Howard Stern show, I wouldn't talk to women like that. Because I don't think I want to. I'd feel awful.
You are somehow trying to draw an equivalency between that incident 7 years ago and what Ana and Cenk are doing now. This includes refusing to apologize for smearing Aaron for doing anti-war and factual journalism, and then facing embarrassment over it, trying to blackmail me and then smearing me with an insane claim of sexual harassment. This is hugely toxic to the progressive movement and to the cause of Me Too. It is clearly the only reason Ana and Cenk are doing this is to deflect from the flack they took for smearing Aaron. They're exploiting and cheapening a very serious issue, and he's validating it.
I don't think that TYT did that to deflect Aaron. I think Ana was specifically going after Jimmy. I don't think she was like, I'll take care of Jimmy, and that'll just take care of Jimmy and Aaron. That's some next level planning right there that I don't think would work. Aaron is a journalist that would tell you the truth. At least that's what I get that's what I perceive from him. And whether or not Ana sent Jimmy a text or not wouldn't affect Aaron on his reporting. I don't get why he says Aaron there, but yes, I do believe that that text from Ana was specifically meant to send fear at Jimmy to chill out on his criticisms, which is wrong. I don't think that's the right way to handle it at all.
Now you claim that you want to stay away from the war? It's not a war. It's a pro-war smear campaign against me and Aaron. By pressing pause on it, you're taking the sides of the smear artists. You're signaling that their behavior is acceptable to you. And it doesn't matter who is friends with who. It's your right to be friends with Spot the Celebrity Camel Toe misogynists and McCarthyite pro-war smear.
That's another thing. Jimmy was on the show then. So when he talks about... Oh, wait. I don't know if Jimmy was on the show then. But what I do know is I'm sure he knew about those videos then. Because according to him, that's how the show was back then. And that's one of the reasons why he felt okay making jokes like that. So he's now saying that it's okay for Kyle and Crystal to be friends with people that used to have a show that was crude and rude and trying to be like the Howard Stern show, which, by the way, I love the Howard Stern show. Crude and rude, and they were trying to be the Howard Stern show, but Jimmy worked there. So you're kind of calling and considered Cenk and Ana his friends, which he said in this video, and I've heard him say a million times. So that point is totally ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Artists. The question is whether that kind of behavior is acceptable to the progressive left or not. Rest assured that if anyone tried to do such an awful thing to you, I wouldn't be pressing pause to avoid it. I'd be speaking out against it.
And that would be your right. And if I were Jimmy, I would, if somebody spoke to defend me, I would consider them a great friend. I also think it's possible people can be friends and you can understand that, okay, it's not like I'm going to jail, because he's not. And I don't know how to handle this. I don't want to get in the middle. If I had two best friends and all of a sudden one of them was, or even good friends, whatever, one of them was saying things about the other person that were really awful, I would probably talk to both of them. I wouldn't handle it on video. I don't think I would do that. I think I would talk to them and try and help them figure out what the hell's going on. I wouldn't make a video. Not saying I don't understand why Jimmy made a video. I get it, because he got the text from Ana and he wanted to get ahead of it all. It makes sense. I'm just saying, I don't think I would ask my friends to go live on a video and take my side. I would be appreciative if someone did it, but I would never ask someone or expect it or criticize them later for not doing it. Now, if I was about to go to jail and my friends who had a big show didn't say anything to save me, that's a bigger deal. That's a much bigger deal.
Like I did with my friend Aaron Mate. So no, I can't possibly understand what you're doing here. I'm appalled. So now Kyle went on to do a segment with Cenk Uygur's nephew instead of me. That is hardly staying out of it.
I totally agree with Jimmy here. I can see this happening. I can see them calling Hassan and saying, look, you have a ridiculously huge audience. I don't know if you've ever seen his show. I've seen 200, 300,000 people in his chat on Twitch before. Usually it's somewhere between 30 and 80,000 people watching him eat food from a really weird angle. But nevertheless, huge audience. I can see really wanting to be on his show and get people that are watching him to subscribe to your YouTube channel and go check you out. I get that completely. Now, I can also see Kyle and Crystal saying, I don't really want to talk about the TYT Aaron Jimmy thing. I don't know. I didn't see the segment of Hassan's show with them on it. But it is possible that it just went there because Twitch also has chat, and chat, not that Hassan can read the chat because it goes by so fast. He tries to once in a while, but it's like, by the way, Hassan, you can slow that down. You can make it so just people that subscribe or that are subscribed to you chat, or you can also make it so that people can only chat every few minutes so that it slows it down so you can read it better. But nevertheless, he just has it. It's chaos. It just flies, his chat. But yeah, that's two things there. Kyle and Crystal obviously wanted to go on Hassan's show because it would be a huge exposure for them. And I don't know whether they did or did not say, I don't want to talk about TYT and Jimmy. Nonetheless, Jimmy has a really good point here. You want to hit pause unless you get booked on one of the biggest Twitch channels there is. So I yeah, good point. I totally agree. That would piss me off.
And he let and the subject, of course, came up. And here's how they covered it.
They stay out of like all the fucking Jimmy Dore drama or whatever the fuck's going on at any given moment. Like, people will always come in and they're like, dude, what do you think about this? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, shut.
Here's something about Hassan. Okay. Go watch his show. For 15 minutes and see what kind of subjects come up. If he's staying out of it, then he's staying out of it because his uncle is Cenk, not because he's afraid to talk about stuff. That man will talk about anything. I have heard he one time was on a show with that CGI character. I can't remember her name. And they were talking about all kinds of sexual stuff, like really, and not like a little bit, like a lot. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that the only reason to stay out of drama is one of two reasons. You are personally invested in one of the parties, or one or both of the parties, like if you're friends with them, or you think it's going to hurt your show. So if he's not talking about Jimmy and TYT drama on his show, drama, I'm calling it that because they're all calling it that, then he's doing it to stay out of it for his uncle or because he supports his uncle no matter what. Because there's no subject that he won't talk about. Just go watch his show. You'll see what I mean. He's not like, I don't want to talk about that. It's just, no.
Shut the fuck up. Like, look,
We're
I
all
would much
simpatico
rather,
there.
Yeah, I would much rather talk about, like literally using a pocket pussy than that, which I do. I talk about a variety of different things. I just don't think that like
it's just hilarious that they're all good thing he didn't say nice news. Anyway,
it's a really good point. Now, also, Crystal and Kyle didn't know. It's not a script. Crystal and Kyle didn't know he was about to say, I'd rather talk about a pocket pussy. And what are they supposed to do? Go, that's it. Boop. End transmission. No, they want people to come watch their show. So they're going to live through this a little bit more. They're going to hang in there because seriously, I don't know, but I bet he had over 100,000 people watching at that time, which is way bigger than any live show that TYT and Jimmy Dore show have ever done. There was one point where Hassan was playing Among Us with AOC, and it was the biggest. It was one of the biggest streams of all time. AOC has the biggest one because hers had like 700,000 people in it. His at the time, I think it was like 300 to 400,000 people watching him play Among Us with AOC. He's got a ridiculously huge audience. So Crystal and Kyle are like, "Hi, all you people, please come to our show." Of course they are. So if Hassan says something rude there, whatever they're feeling inside, it's going to be outweighed by, I'm going to laugh at that because I really want viewers. I really want people to come to our show, obviously. Of course. The best way to deal with this kind of stuff is never make grand statements like that. On my show, I really don't have I wouldn't talk about any of my personal friends too much. I wouldn't talk about my family if we had like a drama issue or anything. But I wouldn't not talk about anything that's in the world that I can think of. I'll let you know if I change my mind.
So they're laughing off. They're framing it as Jimmy Dore drama, which is unbelievably disingenuous and a disservice to what's happening. And it's a dishonest framing by news people who should know better, and they do know better because I already told them. Because they're doing that. I already sent them that text. They already know this. Everything I wrote in that text, Kyle knows this. And so for Kyle to then go on and do a segment where he fails to mention Ana blackmail. Well, here, we'll get to it. Do you want to respond to
Jimmy,
that?
Yeah, listen. So that clip right there, when I saw that to me opens up with that clip. I think that they invited themselves up to criticism. People are wondering why we're talking about this now.
That's right.
That clip right there was basically belittling, I think. That's why I took it, the concerns that we have. Because it's one thing if you want to decide, look, I don't want to comment on an issue. You don't have to comment on an issue. No one's going to force you. I personally was disappointed that people like them stayed silent. If they had been smeared like that, I think I can confidently say that I would have spoken up because I don't think that kind of smearing should be tolerated. But whatever, you can't demand that someone speak up for you, okay? But to say, if they just said, you know what, we don't want to talk about this, period. But then they don't just say that. Then they try to justify it by doing two things. One is they draw, as you told them, this false equivalency between a joke you made 7 years ago and you apologized for, and what they did, which is smearing me and then trying to blackmail you with this ridiculous sexual harassment claim. Okay, there's no equivalency between that, and that's why, as you said, it's not a war; it's a smear campaign. And then going publicly and actually commenting on it by basically belittling the whole thing and dismissing it as Jimmy Dore drama. It's not Jimmy Dore drama. It's us pushing back against the smear campaign, which we have the right to do. And if you're going to belittle us for doing that, you're basically taking the side of the smear campaign.
That's right.
You're basically saying that like there's something wrong with us pushing back against it. So by default, you're actually taking the side of it, whether that was their intention or not. So that's why I think it's fair to criticize them now. And you see this often, like with Russiagate too, when people wanted to avoid taking a position, they took this sort of like ironic, ironic detachment thing, like, oh, whatever, I don't care about that. We did a segment recently where there's this journalist from The Intercept was like, I didn't cover Russiagate because it was boring. Yes. No, you didn't cover Russiagate because there are career consequences for speaking out. And in this case too, for whatever reason, people didn't want to speak out against us being smeared, and that's their right. But don't try to justify it as if by drawing some fake equivalency between two sides or dismissing it as drama, because it's not drama.
It's diminishing it. Diminishes what they were doing.
Yes, and also to go ahead and talk about it and misframe it like that, and to do it with Cenk's nephew, is you're not pressing pause, you're not staying out of it. It's almost the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So you didn't get dragged into this. Kyle Kulinski inserted himself into this. Kyle did that on purpose and didn't have to, but he did.
Now, in the video that he's showing of Kyle claims that Jimmy had said a few times that he was upset that he didn't say anything, which is his right. As a friend, he can say, look, why aren't you talking about this, man? Why aren't you backing me up? I get it. But I do believe Kyle and Crystal both probably would have liked to have never had to mention this. I don't know that for sure, but I feel like Kyle was being sincere when he said, I really did not want to talk about this, but I had to because Jimmy mentioned me in a tweet, which I would argue isn't necessarily a good reason. However, it was Kyle's reason, and who cares what I think is a good reason?
And that's obvious. So that's why the next day on Twitter, people were saying, hey, Kyle, why don't you cover the story and the thing? And I liked a tweet, and that's what set him off to do this video. And again, this also isn't drama. So this is a pattern of behavior at the Young Turks. Is they just McCarthy smear anti-war award-winning journalists ever since they took the $20 million from Katzenberg. There's been a abrupt change, and I'll show you it. Here it is. This is not drama.
You know, the way that Assange seems to be backing Donald Trump over and over and over again, it makes me very seriously question Assange's efforts to actually be a journalist and not to be a partisan. And I get it. I get why he hates the Democrats. They're trying to put him in prison. Okay,
right. But
at the same time,
so are Republicans. Let's be clear about that.
And now the Republicans are too, and they have been in the past. But it seems like Assange has picked a side, and look, it makes me question his reporting, and so that's the situation we're in now. So now is he just leaking things that he gets, and no matter what, in which case I would respect that, or is he selectively leaking based on his political motives? Now that suspicion is out there and it's real and it's possible, well, now I'm concerned that it can't be trusted.
Now, this has always bothered me. The optics of taking $20 million alone is bad. Having $20 million for your news show is good. However, if you have a news show and one of your main topics is getting money out of politics, you've got to know that taking money from a Democrat is going to make you appear to be swayed towards whoever gave you that money's politics. Whether or not it works or not is a different story. Now, in Kyle's video, he claims he knows for a fact that there was something in the deal that made it so there was something in that deal with TYT and the $20 million that said this money is not meant to influence us at all, so don't think it will. Now, great if that's in a contract, and I'm not saying they do this because I don't think they do, but it's an irrelevant point, because you might want $20 million again in 5 years, and if you pissed off the person that gave you the $20 million, they're not going to give you $20 million again. So if you are wanting money again, it could be argued that you're going to be careful. I'm not saying TYT does that. I'm not saying they don't do that. I happen to believe that Cenk and Ana are very sincere people, and I think this video is taken out of context. Not saying the context doesn't match what Jimmy and Aaron are saying. I'm saying you can't tell by this video. I would encourage you to go watch that video of Cenk talking about Assange. But I believe that Cenk is able to change his mind. I believe that he is a type of person that might come up with an idea and say it into a camera because he just thought of it, which is good. That's what I like that about him. I like that about Jimmy. I like that about people I watch. I don't like when it feels like they're reading a script, even if they worked it out around a long table like 2 hours before. I've seen Cenk make points that he just thought of, and that could have very well have been something that he was just postulating. Maybe Assange is, maybe doesn't have the same best interest that he used to, or I question his reporting. You can say that and be wrong, and you're not now on the wrong side suddenly. Cenk has done enough for the progressive movement that I think you should be able to watch what he says now and go, that man has done a lot for the progressive movement. That being said, Jimmy has every right to disagree. I was for force the vote. I thought it was a great idea, but I'm kind of crazy like that. I'm like, hell yeah, let's force that vote. I want the vote to go through because I want to find out which Democrats dare to vote against it, because that will primary them, and those guys and girls won't hopefully be senators in 2 years or whatever, whenever the next election is for them in particular. So I was for it. I also listened to other people say why force the vote was dangerous. I got their point. I understood it. I didn't care. I wanted dangerous. I wanted the feeling of the vote being forced, and I wanted it to happen. Maybe that's naive. I'm a naive child because of that or something. I don't know. But I was for force the vote, even though I heard arguments against it, and they also made some sense. They just didn't make as much sense as, hell yeah, let's force the vote and see who the hell's against it so we can get them the hell out of there.
And so, again, that's also not drama. That's super huge news that no one else covered except me, that the #1 online news show is McCarthy smearing. Well, what they did was they called him a Trumper. They said that Julian Assange is siding with the guy at the moment who's trying to kill him, Donald Trump. That's the crazy bull. And why would they do that? I don't know. They took $20 million from Katzenberg, and they're signaling to another donor, because Cenk took $20 million and he blew through it. It blew through it, which is why they have to do their televangelist style of fundraising campaigns, which are stomach churning and shock the conscience, actually.
I disagree. I got to admit, the emails that say, you know, hey, you have till midnight and to give us money because we're trying to make our monthly quota. Cenk's running a business, and so are you, Jimmy. Just because you live in a country where there are people on all different levels of the economic scale. Believe me, if I don't have the money to do it, I'm not sending money to TYT, no matter what Cenk says at the end of his videos. However, if I'm doing well, even during a pandemic, and I feel like supporting the show, I think a reminder at the end of his videos and an email and stuff like that is a great way to raise money for your show so that you can be paid by your viewers. Maybe if there was enough subscribers, you wouldn't have to take $20 million from someone. I don't know. Again, taking $20 million from one donor is definitely a red flag. I just don't necessarily think that it's as dire or crazy as everybody keeps saying it is. I think Cenk and Ana are very sincere and maybe possibly steer themselves a little bit maybe because of that. I don't know, but I don't think it's fair to say they definitely have just become the enemy because they took $20 million. That I don't believe. It does look really bad though, but there's no evidence of that. Maybe Cenk really just believes what he says, and maybe he's wrong. Maybe that's it. Because there's a lot of other things that he says that I remember when I first heard about the $20 million and I heard that the person that gave it to him was a huge Hillary supporter. Don't even know if that's true. That's just what I remember hearing. I remember thinking, oh my God, from now on, TYT's never going to say anything bad about Hillary again, and she's one of the worst candidates ever. And that's depressing. I was really depressed about that because TYT to me was the progressive show that was fighting and ready. But then I heard TYT say many times how awful Hillary was, and they even endorsed Bernie Sanders. So it's kind of totally not true that the $20 million, at least in the most important decision you can possibly make, who you're going to endorse for president, affected them. Ana was even though she didn't ever officially said it for a really long time, she was clearly a Bernie supporter. John was clearly a Bernie supporter, and Cenk was clearly a Bernie supporter, but he was trying to be like, I'm gonna hold back until I tell you who I really like because I want to hear all the debates. And then finally he was like, okay, yeah, I'm a Bernie supporter. How did the $20 million from a Democrat that supports Hillary Clinton affect them that way? That's a pretty big decision. So if you're telling me that they cannot be swayed on something huge like the president of the United States, that they suddenly were suddenly swayed because of force the vote, that logically doesn't make sense to me. So I've always thought this was a terrible point, and I know that Jimmy knows that that's not true. I don't know it. I just feel like he knows it's not true, but it's a great talking point. It's a really difficult thing to defend that you took $20 million from a Democrat that supports Hillary Clinton. It's really hard to defend against that. All you can really say is, yes, we took $20 million from a Democrat that supports Hillary Clinton. However, we really, really promise not to let that sway our judgment. That's all you really can say. And then hope that people remember how you've always been and trust you. Because it's a big deal, $20 million. Huge deal.
So my guess is that he's signaling to another donor there. Do you think that's important, Aaron, for me to bring into this context? That's important. It shows a pattern of behavior.
Yeah, sure. Look, there's a lot about Cenk to criticize. Like in the process, we've also caught him lying about you when he called you a liar for saying that he advocated bombing Syria. He called you a liar for that, and then there's tape of him advocating bombing Syria.
He called me the preposterous. He said I was a preposterous liar. That I never said we advocated for war in Syria. And then of course there's a videotape of him advocating it to my face.
I'd like to see that video. I'm surprised that Jimmy's not playing that video here, because one of the things that I love about Jimmy is he'll tell you something, and you'll be like, that can't be true. And then he'll actually say, like as if he just heard me say that, he'll go, don't believe me? Here's a video. Pop. And he doesn't do that here, and that's a red flag for me. I don't know how to search for the video where Cenk says that, but I'm a little surprised that Jimmy doesn't put up that video. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying it's concerning that he doesn't pop in that video where Cenk says to Jimmy that he's pro-war. Like, which I find really hard to believe. Especially since in Cenk's video defending that, he said, we are not pro-war. We've been against every war. Because you'd have to be some kind of a nitwit to say that, knowing there's video of you out there saying that. So I mean, you can't, obviously Cenk and Ana can't pull up a video that doesn't say that. I mean, they did actually, but that doesn't mean anything. You could bring up videos all day long about that. That doesn't mean that there wasn't one video out there where you were just like, you know what? I'm pro-war suddenly. I find it very odd that Jimmy doesn't show that video. Maybe he doesn't have it, or maybe he's remembering wrong. I don't know, but it's sus.
Yeah. All three of them, and then so go ahead. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and look, and underlying all this is a question of like, look, this starts with you and I getting attacked for what? Not because we said anything offensive, not because we said anything misogynist like Cenk and Ana did back when they were trying to become, like the next Howard Stern show, but because because I went to Syria and I've been covering this OPCW scandal. And you've been helping me get the word out for that. You've been basically one of the few people with a big platform willing to cover it. And so they smeared us for it. And when they got called on it, they kept doubling down. That's what all this is about. And so that's why when there's an effort to make this something personal, no, this actually is political. This is about whether on the progressive left, especially in media, we're going to accept this culture where...
I will admit, I wish I knew more about that. I wish I knew more about the Syria. I'm gonna go back and look through Aaron's videos on pushback and educate myself a little bit on the whole Syria thing, because I don't know a lot about that. And so when they're talking about how TYT has the opposite view of them, and they're doing it specifically because they're now part of the establishment, I got nothing to say about that. I just don't know. My gut instinct tells me that TYT in general, I usually agree with them. But I also feel that way about Jimmy. So for them to be, as they seem to be portraying it, as polar opposites on whether or not the war should be going on in Syria, makes me realize that I'm ignorant on it, and I shouldn't be, because I trust both shows, and apparently they have opposite views on it. That'll be a hard thing to research, but I probably should do that.
When people challenge the establishment and do actual journalism, are we going to accept other lefty, supposed lefty media people smearing them, coming up with lies about them, and then when that fails, then bringing like exploiting Me Too in a transparently ridiculous stunt? I mean, that's the question. And that's why, again, if more people, I think, had been willing to speak out about this earlier on, Cenk and Ana would have gotten the message that it's not cool for them to do that. And I think that they would have ceased, but they kept going. So we had to respond. What else are we supposed to do?
I don't think that Cenk Uygur doing that to Julian Assange should be laughed out of lefty society forever, and just go get your job at CNN now and get done with. That's ridiculous, and that people are acting like somehow, again, all drama, and not that these people have been out of their fucking minds for the last 5 years.
Yeah,
not that. Not that Ana tweeted out
giving like a fawning interview to Madeleine Albright.
Of course, going to weapons conventions and giving fawning interviews to war criminals, and just Ana tweeted out a doctored video of you that made it look like you said Assad was your hero.
Yeah.
And of course, it was a doctored video, and she tweeted it out knowingly. And then when she got called on it, she didn't apologize. She said that doesn't matter. These people are slandering in the sleaziest, disgusting way. Then the next week, Cenk goes on and calls me a Nazi and says he never advocated. I mean, there's just a litany of unbelievable smears and lies.
Okay. It's possible that Ana tweeted some video that was doctored. I don't know. It's possible that she didn't know. If it turns out that it was doctored and it turns out that Ana found out about it, I think she probably should have said sorry and retracted it, which I also don't know if she did. I guarantee you, which is what he just said, which is one of the things, my criticisms of Jimmy is saying these things totally randomly like this. I don't believe Ana did it on purpose, knowing it was doctored and trying to pass it off as real. No. No. For two reasons. I don't think she's that type of person. And number two, obviously you'd get caught. Like, that's such a right-wing thing to do, to post videos, doctored videos of somebody on the left, and then somebody on the left has to spend their afternoon going back to the real video and saying, no, this is the full video. But yeah, no, Ana's not stupid. But I can see somebody being fooled by a video that was doctored. And I don't believe Cenk called Jimmy a Nazi. He might have said, actually, I remember this, Cenk did say this, Jimmy's audience is a bunch of right-wingers, and therefore right-wingers are Trump supporters, and therefore Trump supporters are Nazis. But he didn't go, so therefore Jimmy's a Nazi. No. I'm not saying that what Cenk said about that was correct either. There are a lot of people that you cannot call a Nazi that are Trump supporter. I would say I don't understand them. But then again, I don't understand people that support Biden. So those two things he just said, I can't even believe that he would believe that. So that freaks me out a little bit.
That they've never apologized for one of them. They've never apologized for what they did to Julian Assange. The only person to ever apologize in any of this, I'll say it one more time, was me 7 years ago when I apologized for a joke. They'll never apologize. So let's move on. So here's more of Kyle.
And understand something, guys. My issue...
And so here's the real egregious part. And this part, and I'm not kidding, this part really hurts, man. I mean, this part, I don't want to talk. I don't know why Kyle did this. I don't know why he did this, but this is straight up dishonest, and I'm going to show it to you.
That's how he should be talking when he's talking about being wrong about making those comments to Ana. Even his version of the story, he should be talking like that. Someone that's legitimately feeling not funny. I don't know what emotion you would feel that correlates, but the point is it's serious, and you can clearly see that Jimmy's affected by it. So that's what was missing in Jimmy's video a couple weeks ago when he was talking about his rendition of the story of Ana and what he said. That's what was missing, is that sincerity you just saw.
Actually not with the original incident that Jimmy's talking about there. Now, to be fair, Jimmy says, hey, it was a bad joke. Ana says it wasn't a bad joke. It was Jimmy commenting on me in a sexual way in front of my students. Her students were in the room at the time. Now, I wasn't there.
Nice news skirt is which word is sexual? Nice, news, or skirt? And I did it because that was thrust upon me. And then afterwards, I apologized immediately, and I told her I'd never, ever, don't worry, you have to worry about that again. And that was because we were friends, and that's under the water, and now she's weaponizing it. And that's how he should have covered it.
See, now Jimmy's talking about that story like he should have talked about it a couple weeks ago, because I bet he's heard what I've said about 1,000,000 times. Jimmy, you probably should have been hysterically laughing about it while you were talking. It makes you seem a little insincere. And now he got the memo. Nice pause, by the way. Kyle just said sexual. He's wrong. That wasn't a sexual thing you said. It was rude, wrong, and unbelievably insensitive. And to have that reflex to look over and see your friend bend over and see under her skirt and know that there's people in the room, and then to say, "Hey, Anna, nice news skirt." That's pretty shitty. that's something that's really shitty. What a shitty thing to do. And don't blame the temperature of the show on that's what it was like. The environment of the show was they were trying to be like the Howard Stern show. I'm a comedian, he said. Comedians make jokes. No. You wouldn't say that to a stranger or an acquaintance or a friend. You would say that to someone to get a laugh, and you have like adolescent humor. But most of all, you would say that if you didn't have the reflex of decency. I guess it's possible that he had a moment of weakness and went for the joke. Maybe, but we're all older now. He claims that it's wrong what he did, but he didn't tell the story like that. And he didn't seem like it was wrong. He seemed like it was fine because everyone laughed, but because too many people laughed, it humiliated her. Therefore, I said sorry to my friend and boss and gave her a card. It's just.
And he didn't. He didn't even condemn her for doing that, for none of it.
And what's the power structure
And
here?
of course, the power structure was exactly backwards. She was my boss. She had all the power. She booked me on the show. She invited me to her wedding.
And she even sent you, Jimmy, the reason you spoke out about this, because she sent you a message.
So she sent me,
telling you that she was going to basically use this to go after you. She was essentially blackmailing you.
Yes, she was saying
it's so obvious, even by her account of what actually happened. When we know now that what you said, all you.
Jimmy's wrong. Inviting you to the wedding, booking you on the show, not calling you out on the show. Those are not reasons why you weren't wrong. That doesn't make you not wrong then. And you've already said you apologize, so you know you were wrong. And those aren't reasons to say anything. Those are all bad points. Bad points. Again, I really don't know if she was his boss, but anyway.
Said was nice new skirt, which you then apologized for. And then she also brought up this example where you asked her where she got a pair of jeans. You could buy it for your wife.
For my wife.
You know what I mean?
And that's another thing. I don't like what Aaron's saying here. He's blowing off nice news skirt and the jeans comment. I'm trying to put myself in a situation where I would see a woman. I might be just different. Where I would see a woman in jeans that I liked and say, I really like your jeans. Tell me where you got them so I could tell my wife to get some so she'll wear them. I can't The only way I'm going to here's how I could do it. Me and my wife are going to do a play, and I've been looking for the we're both been looking for the perfect pair of jeans to go for the scene that we're going to be doing. And I see a woman who's got the jeans that my wife, or that are perfect for the scene that we're going to do in the play or the film or whatever. And I asked the woman, look, we're about to do a movie, we're about to do a play, and those jeans would be perfect for my wife in the scene. Where did you get those? That's fine. But those jeans are nice on you, or I like those jeans. I'd like you to tell me where this, so I can get them for my wife. That has some major obvious undertones to it. And nice new skirt is just not cool. If a guy came out of the bathroom and his fly was down, and there were one person in the room, let alone a group, I wouldn't go, "Hey, your fly's down," or feeling a draft. I might in a locker room, or I'm in a band. I might do that backstage at a band with a bunch of roadies or whatever. But in a business with a friend, I guess that's possible double standards, maybe because it's a guy. I'm trying to think of all my friends and who would be offended, and nobody would. Then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, whoops." And it's a little lame, but I can picture my friends, all my male friends, being like, whatever. That being said, I can't think of any female friends that if I said, nice skirt because I could see her ass, that's just, and you can call it double standards, but maybe we've just learned that it's really rude, and I feel it's rude to do that and wrong. Huh.
It was so obvious that she was like she was admitting that she was going to in a malicious way
conflate it,
exploit these interactions to concoct a Me Too thing.
Yes, it is kind of obvious that text was, "You've been throwing shade at TYT, and you know what you did to me back in the day, and everybody thinks you're some kind of progressive hero, but that's going to change." Clearly a threat. Clearly.
Yeah.
And the people who ignore that are just being completely disingenuous. You have to recognize that that's what actually happened if you're going to talk about the story and try to dismiss it as drama.
That's right.
Because it's not drama. It was blackmail, basically.
Yeah, but so Kyle leaves the blackmail part out, and he just acts like I started talking about Anna's clothes for no reason on my show.
Yeah.
Watch this. This is stunning.
I'll never know exactly what happened. I don't think Jimmy's a sex pest. I don't think he's a criminal. I don't think this is a hashtag Me Too thing.
I appreciate you saying that.
What's a sex pest?
That was also very nice. I appreciate him saying that. Thank you. I will appreciate if it's not a hashtag Me Too thing, then you should have said she's fucking weaponizing this in a disingenuous, sleazy way. That would have been an honest way to talk about this. But he didn't say that. She's allowed to do a fake thing, a bullshit thing, and to try to deflect and distract everybody from her McCarthy smears, and no one's going to call her on that.
But my issue with the thing we just saw
Listen to this. This
is what he just said
this is
right there.
Unbelievable.
Oh, she dresses inappropriate.
Yeah, I do also agree with that. Who are you to talk about how someone's dressing? Like, you've just said that she was the boss. How many people out there have told their boss that they dress inappropriately? Or even, I don't know. That's
inappropriate. Who the fuck are you to determine what isn't appropriate for her? Are you a fundamentalist Christian? I mean, that's like some hardcore Republican thing to say. And if I'm being objective about this, even though Jimmy's my friend, if somebody spoke about my mom or my sister or my girlfriend like that, it would take every fiber of my being to not want to beat the shit out of them.
Wow.
because that's humiliating. And he admits that it was a humiliating thing in the segment, but then it doesn't occur to you that maybe bringing this up again and talking about it in the way you're talking about it is...
Right there. In the way you're talking about it. That is what Jimmy is about to not have heard, or at least pretends he's not have heard it.
It's like, gonna humiliate her yet again?
Okay, what Kyle's leaving out there, unfortunately, and this is a sin that he's committing, and he's doing this on purpose. He's pretending like I just started to tell that story again for no reason. He's leaving out the part that Ana Kasparian...
He said in the way you said it.
Blackmailed me, was trying to blackmail me. And I was told by everyone that I should get out in front of this.
Yes, get out in front of it. But don't pat yourself on the back for like 30 minutes about how insanely funny it was.
Including my lawyer, that you got to address this. So I had to address this on my show. Do you think I wanted to address this? Do you think I wanted to bring this up? The crime here is someone weaponizing a thing that's over with and trying to launch a phony, false, sleazy #MeToo to distract from her own McCarthy smears and lies.
Yes, I totally agree that that text is pretty damning in the department of blackmail. It's pretty clear.
That's the sin here. Not that Jimmy Dore had to speak about it in a way that you didn't agree with. And the thing he doesn't like was that I said Ana used to dress inappropriately at work, for work. That's what he's going to... Watch this. What? And he's... Watch.
You know, Jimmy, can I say, too, if my, partner or my sister or my mom blackmailed someone, I would say to them, why are you trying to blackmail him? Don't blackmail him.
Don't blackmail him, and he probably won't talk about it. He won't talk about this...
He's trying to make your response the problem and trying to like tell people what happened, the problem. And that's not fair to you. It's just not fair.
It's unbelievably
I do agree. I think Kyle probably should have said, Ana, if you were really upset suddenly about this again after all this time, then you probably shouldn't have sent the text. And yeah, because first of all, if you're really upset about that, which you have every right to feel like you were harassed at that point, I agree. But sending that text destroys your whole argument. Now, the argument could be said, let's pretend it wasn't sexual harassment or it wasn't the news skirt. Let's say Ana saw Jimmy murder somebody 7 years ago, and she wrote a text to him and said, hey, you've been running your mouth about TYT, and I know what happened 7 years ago, all that time ago, and everyone thinks you're so good and progressive leader. Well, that's about to change, and Jimmy knows it's murder. That doesn't make murder not wrong. Murder's still murder. So talking about her that way was still wrong. We're just currently deciding whether or not Ana was still upset about it enough to make it a big deal if Jimmy wasn't talking so badly about TYT. If Jimmy wasn't saying anything about TYT, Ana probably, because I don't really know, but it's highly likely in my brain, she would have ever brought that up again. Because in my head, I can't help but accidentally just say, but why? So why would she? Because clearly by now, it's the timing. If say she knows someone that recently got raped, and it triggered something in her head, and she's like, God, I remember that time Jimmy did that to me, and I'm going to do something about it. Finally, it's been bothering me for 7 years. which is totally possible. You don't send a text that says, you've been running your mouth about TYT, and you know I know what you did all those years ago, and now everyone thinks that you're such a progressive hero, but things are going to change. That's not what your goal should be. Your goal should be to bring it to the light, what happened all those years ago. I mean, okay, unless she's suddenly like, maybe she has a really bad opinion of Jimmy. Maybe she just thinks Jimmy's an awful person and can't stand that people think he's so good. And she wants to finally bring it to light. Look, like Bill Cosby, you know, like, hey, you people, you think Bill Cosby's a good guy. He's not. Look at all the stuff he did. However, once again, badly timed, badly said in the text. It was clear she was trying to get, to me, it was clear that she was trying to get him to shut up. Stop talking about TYT and me and chill out, because I got something that'll really wreck your life. Whether she really believes that or not is totally in her head, and she knows. And if she does think it, she has every right to feel humiliated and upset about it, irrelevant to how she handled it. You can handle things correctly and still be right about your feelings. You can also handle things shitty and still be right about your feelings.
And dishonest. It's and by the way, his own fans are calling him out by the thousands over this. So what he's doing.
And this is why Kyle wanted to stay away from this topic. The fans that are calling him out on this are probably Jimmy Dore fans. Like, everyone's going to have their favorite show. I don't know what my favorite show is, by the way. I think Jimmy Dore show and TYT were tied for a while. And then I really liked The Rising. I love Rational National. I love The Humanist Report. And during this feud, to be honest, I stopped watching TYT and Jimmy Dore because I was just like, what is going on? I was just depressed, really, because I'm passionate about politics and the progressive movement and making the world a better place. And two of the major influencers were screwing with each other and arguing with each other and smearing each other and fighting with each other over a lot of things. I mean, I watched Jimmy Dore and TYT because I wanted to get both sides of the story of Russiagate. And Jimmy totally swayed me into, I don't think there's a reason to keep talking about it. Whether or not Donald Trump is in with the Russians or not, it's clear there's not enough evidence to care enough to keep putting energy into it. And it's gotten so ridiculous now that it actually helps him when you talk about it. But, yeah.
Is he's leaving out the reason why I had to bring it up. Now, whether he has a problem with me speaking of it indelicately or not, I should have said she dressed provocatively. I guess I could have picked better words that didn't trigger his Puritan sensibility. What the F was that? That is nuts.
No. See, these are the things that make me wonder if he's actually sorry about anything. Because look, there's two, not everything's black and white. However, definitely sways black and white here quite a bit. If you watch the Jimmy Dore video of him telling the original story where he's laughing hysterically, if you're watching that and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, it probably was funny. Jimmy's hilarious. And Ana, who cares? A news skirt. Grow up, little girl. Then you're, in my opinion, wrong. Because you're diffusing something that should not be diffused. okay, you're really sorry about something, right? Let's say you cheat on your wife. And when you tell the story on air, you laugh about how funny it was how one night you felt bad at the time, by the way, and you said sorry and you gave her a card, but my wife almost caught me and me and the mistress. Wife came in the front door, the mistress went out the back door. Oh my God, it was crazy. And I felt really bad when my wife found out that I was cheating on her and I gave her a card. And now she's bringing it up again? That's not sorry.
He's got a problem
not the
that
best
I
analogy.
said Ana addressed inappropriately. Like, you're going to punch me?
That's not what he said. What he said was, if somebody said that about his mother or his girlfriend or whatever, his sister, he would have to fight every fiber of his being not to beat the shit out of that person. You didn't apparently say that about his mother, his wife, or his sister, or his girlfriend, or whatever. But also people speak and say things like that. Like, if you ever talk to my wife like that, I would kick his ass. Cut to someone talking to your wife like that, and now you're actually in a situation, and you have to decide whether or not to kick the guy's ass and get assault charges. You're taking it way too literally.
What? I was trying to tell the story of this woman who's trying to blackmail me while she's smearing anti-war journalists, and she's blackmailing me because I'm criticizing her for smearing anti-war journalists, and that's why I now have to tell this story. You think I wanted to fucking bring it up? Why would you do that, Kyle? That's really wow. And so
it is weird that Kyle doesn't mention how the text is lame. The text is lame. Not taking anything away from whether or not Ana feels that way, not taking anything away of whether or not Jimmy acted inappropriately back then, because that was inappropriate in my opinion for sure, extremely. Not taking away the fact that Jimmy, the way he told the story was like as if he were telling the most hysterical thing that has ever happened. It is odd that Kyle wouldn't bring up the text. He may have, it's not cut at all. Like there's no edits. So maybe through the entire conversation, he just never got to that. Maybe. But it's a pretty big deal. To me, it sounds like he either forgot or left it out on purpose, which is obviously one of those. And maybe he'll make another video explaining that. Kyle seems like somebody that would do that. Like, okay, I got to make another one of these videos. Yes, the text, I totally think, blah-de, blah-de, blah. This is how I think Ana's text, blah-de, blah-de, blah.
So there you go. It's just painful. You broke my heart, Fredo. I don't know why you did that. It's very painful for me to see him do that. He knows. I mean, you saw the tweet, the text that I sent him after they ghosted me on their show. The text I sent him, like, this is crazy what you're doing. You're doing all the false equivalency. She blackmailed me. He doesn't even mention the blackmail. Doesn't even mention it. He never mentioned it. Never mentioned it. So let's remind everybody the part that Kyle cut out for some reason and didn't tell anybody, which totally changes the story. She sent me a DM.
There's something wrong with this text.
On a Thursday night. It says, I'm sure you remember. So this is after she's been tweeted out a doctored video of Aaron Matei.
Not on purpose,
totally
I guarantee
the
you.
meaning of what he was saying. And then when she was called on it, didn't apologize, didn't take responsibility for it.
I don't know if she apologized or not.
He worked for Assad after. So this is after. Now she's going to do a fraudulent blackmail and try to let me know she has some evidence that she can conflate to people, right? So here's what she says. She goes, I'm sure you remember when you constantly made inappropriate comments about how sexy you found me at work. Not true. And even felt the need to ask me where I shop for my jeans so you can buy a pair for your wife so she dresses better. That is true. I asked her where she got her jeans. I wanted to buy a pair for my wife. That's what she comes up with as some kind of a thing. Because so she's letting me know, Jimmy, I'm going to start twisting things.
I really doubt Ana would remember from 7 years ago that Jimmy harmlessly asked about jeans if she didn't at least feel like it was a bigger deal than that then. Whether or not it was or not, don't know. But there are a lot of things I probably don't remember that didn't mean anything. I think if she kept that in her head for 7 years, to her anyway, it felt weird, I'm sure. Which is important because, again, Jimmy is he's dismissing her feelings again. Of course, they're mad at each other, but
blackmail you. That's what this is. Then the next line. She goes, that was followed by an apology card you wrote me for the degrading. It's so degrading, that's all she can come up with? Was that I asked her where she got her jeans from because I wanted to buy a pair for my wife? That's all she could come up with? It constantly happened?
Well, the first thing she said is that you made comments about how sexy she was at work. Just because she didn't tell you, that's one example of, according to her, many things. And then she brings up the jeans comment, which obviously was a big deal to her.
That's her pull. So what she's doing is letting me know that's what she's going to say. She's going to say it constantly happened, and she knows she's got these things that she can twist and conflate in a bad faith way. And she says, that was followed by an apology card you owe me for the degrading harassment. I wrote her that card for a joke I made one time when she was in the newsroom and bent over, and everyone saw more than we should. Put it that way. I don't know how else to say this. And I made a joke, and the joke was because it got really tense. So I made a joke to break the tension in the room because everyone was like, that.
You have to be on an intuition scale. You have to be pretty damn low to think, oh, everyone's seeing Ana's ass right now. I better break the tension in the room by joking about it and making it the centerpiece of the... What? Oh, I'm trying to picture this. Ana bends over to get her purse. You see her ass. You look around and everyone's like, and then Jimmy's like, I know. Hey, Ana, nice new skirt. And everybody's like, ha 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 ha. That is the craziest scenario.
And I said, hey, Ana, nice new skirt, right? To kind of let her know, give her a heads up.
No, that is rude as fuck. If anything, you would be just uncomfortable. Wish the moment would end. And then later go, maybe even tell a woman that's also a friend, that's a friend of Ana's. Maybe I'm going too far. But I would probably tell another woman, hey, look, I don't know how Ana will take this from me. But it's so hard to say. But when she bent over, I could see under her skirt. I didn't try to, but there was. And I know a lot of people saw it. So maybe you could mention something because she'd probably want to know that that was happening. Don't even have to say that I saw it. Just maybe you saw it. Whatever. But to yell out into a room, hey, Ana, nice new skirt. Don't try and make that not a big deal.
That's what was happening. And everyone laughed really loudly. Like so loudly that she got embarrassed.
No, she would have been embarrassed if you were the only two in the room, probably. I think. But definitely if there were other people.
And so I felt bad that I made her embarrassed. And I immediately apologized to her, and I gave her a card the next day and a gift. And I said, hey, you'll never have to worry about me commenting on your clothes again. That wasn't my intention to embarrass you at all. You know, I was just like, it threw me, and everyone was tense. And that's why it got such a big laugh, because it was obvious to everyone this was happening.
No, it was off the cuff. You're a comedian. You like to make people laugh. You definitely, Jimmy is not the type of person to not say crass things. I mean, I don't get offended at all by like language. I mean, my favorite comedian is George Carlin. I love Sam Kinison. Jimmy doesn't seem like the type to have made a Bob Hope joke. You know, I don't even know what a Bob Hope joke would be in that situation, but you just went for the joke and didn't care about feelings, and you may or may not have felt bad afterwards. Maybe you did. I don't know, but it doesn't seem that way the way you told it the other day. The other day, the centerpiece was how funny it was. So funny. Oh my God. It was hilarious. So hilarious that's why she was humiliated. So I sent her a card with and apologized and said you never have to do that again, which means she probably mentioned to him, hey, what the hell are you doing? Because she probably was humiliated.
So she knows that she's got a card from me apologizing for making a remark. But I apologize for the joke. I apologize for making a joke that embarrassed her. I didn't do anything. And so she's letting me know she's going to conflate that. And why is she going to do this? She said, I've been holding back, letting you run your mouth nonstop as if you're some sort of a warrior for what's going on in the world. That's going to change.
I can see how this text unfolded while she was typing it. She probably should have talked to somebody before she sent it. It's 7:46 p.m. on April 14th, 2016. Wait, what? Oh, that was the last time they talked. Wait a minute. Is that how it works? Well, that's confusing. Must be how, yeah, that must be it. Oh, wait, is this? Oh, this is, I think this is either Twitter. Yeah, that must be Twitter. It's Twitter messaging. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, it clearly says, hey, I got some shit on you, and I hate the way everybody thinks that you're so awesome, so I'm going to tell on you to the world, is what I get from that text. I'm not sure why you would send this text unless you were trying to get the person to change, either trying to get money from them or trying to get them to change what they're saying or trying to change their something in some way. That's clearly this text is meant to do something to Jimmy. Blackmail is definitely one of them. Blackmail is kind of a strong word. Probably the only word. I don't know. But yeah,
So she's doing this not because she wants to warn other women about me, because there's nothing to warn them about, and she knows it, and she's not doing so, and she's doing it in retaliation for me, quote unquote, running my mouth, which means calling out her McCarthy smears of anti-war journalists.
I don't know that actually. Now that you say it like that, running your mouth. I mean, that's what I get out of it. So maybe it is possible that she's talking about. No, she's talking. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Maybe she's talking about what friends have said. Like, yeah, I was talking to Jimmy the other day, and he's running his mouth about you. I mean, it really sounds like she's talking specifically about the public, not like private conversations she's had. So yeah.
And that's what she's talking about, running my mouth. So she's going to say, I'm going to do this, make you stop running your mouth. And so I then went and told this story I'm telling you now. I told this story on my show because she was threatening to blackmail me. And Kyle acts like I wanted to start telling everybody I thought Ana Kasparian dressed inappropriately. I didn't give a shit. I never complained to anybody about how she dressed. I never mentioned that she dressed inappropriately. I never said any of that shit. I had to tell that story because she was doing this. And I had to get out in front of it. And I don't know how else to react to that.
When you were telling the story, you shouldn't have laughed and made the centerpiece how funny it was. That's what the biggest problem was. You should have had a much more serious demeanor. I'm not just giving you tips on how to lie, if that's what it was. That's what made people perceive it as wrong, was the way you said it. It sounded like you just thought how hilarious you were. And since you were on a show that was doing segments that you claim Kyle should not want to be a part of because of it being so non-progressive language, you were on the show and basically you were on the show and you were just playing to the uncomfortable crowd that happened to see everybody saw Anna's underneath her skirt when she bent over, and you were just trying to break the tension. In another video, he says he was doing it to warn her and help her. He's changed it a little bit now. Now it's break the tension. That is true.
And I was advised by many people you better get out in front of it and tell your story first, because this is what they're planning.
Makes sense. That is a good choice.
So it would be nice if Kyle included this crucial part of information in his telling of his outrage. He said inappropriate. Oh my God.
He said the way you told it. But he did mention the text. So
he said
very well anyway.
You're not going to believe this. Jimmy fucking Dore said inappropriate. I mean, he's out of. I don't know what the hell that is. So I had to tell the story, and I didn't want to tell the story, but I was being smeared and blackmailed, and that was I had to do the responsible things. This is the equivalent of Kyle saying, "I got upset that Jimmy pushed that old lady down on the curb out of the street." And he skipped the part because a bus was coming and about to run her over. So Jimmy had to push her. Wow, that changes the story a little, doesn't it?
That's a simplified analogy. If you push the lady down the street, and when she fell, she went ass over tea kettle, and her skirt flew up, and everybody laughed, and you talk about how funny it was. Oh my God! You should have seen, and she had flowered underwear, and the flowered underwear just made it worse, and it was so funny. Oh my God! And everybody was laughing, but I did it to save her from the bus. That's crazy. That's the part. If you pushed a woman out of the way from hitting a bus and she broke her arm, or she fell over and she hurt herself, or she was wounded in some way, which we are under the assumption that Ana was mentally wounded in some way from his comment, then you would feel bad that you hurt the woman, but you would say, but I had to do something because the bus was going to hit her. And we'd all be like, oh my God, we totally understand. That's not your fault, man. But if you were laughing about how she landed and and everybody thought it was just so awesome, the somersault she did, oh my God, but I had to do it because that's a little weird. We'd be like, why are you telling it like that? Why are you acting like it was great that she landed on the cement so hard? Or No. Bad. Not true. Not a good analogy.
You kind of have to know the preceding thing
to
know
Kyle
why Jimmy told that story. And he totally left out the preceding thing.
He definitely didn't cover it much. But
and that's bullshit. You just can't tell the story without acknowledging that. It's not fair. It's completely disingenuous, and it's ultimately validating the behavior of the smear artists and the blackmailers. If you're trying to
see now, behind Aaron right now is Kyle's video, I think, of him talking about the text. So he does mention it. I'm going to have to go back and look to see if Kyle talks about how the text was not how the text wasn't good. I'm going to have to look at that. Because obviously the text is brought up because there it is in the background. And that's Kyle's video, I'm pretty sure, because it was just cut away from Kyle right before.
Draw an equivalency between the smears and the blackmail and how you respond to it.
Yeah.
It's completely disingenuous. There's no equivalency whatsoever. You know, Jimmy, look, could you have told that story with more tact? You probably sure. But you know what? I say to anybody who criticizes you for that, yes. It's not easy to be blackmailed and to be accused falsely of sexual harassment. It's awkward. to talk about this is awkward because it's such a serious thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not going to judge your way of telling the story when what you're doing is responding to a way to blackmail you. That's the issue here.
I see what you're saying, Aaron. And yes, maybe Jimmy has some kind of thing where he laughs when he's really uncomfortable. But I've seen him talk sincerely about stuff before where he wasn't laughing, where he was really emotional, like earlier. That's not my read on it. If you watch the video, which I might just throw it up here. This video isn't long enough. I'll make it longer by adding. I don't know. That's hard. That's a hard one. I didn't get that from what Jimmy was doing. It looked like he really legitimately thought it was hilarious. He might have also just been coming off of how angry he was that this was all happening, and so he felt like being a little vicious towards them by laughing at how stupid her skirt is or whatever, and she's dressed so inappropriate. You know, but unfortunately, you shot video of it, so you should probably apologize for saying it so in such a comedic way and talking about it so insensitively just a couple weeks ago.
I know.
That's the problem. Especially if you apologized for the thing 7 years ago when it happened.
That she's trying to blackmail me for.
Yeah.
It's already it's a settled issue. That's over. It's obvious that she's doing this in a bad faith attempt to distract people from her McCarthy smears of you. So if Kyle's going to clutch his pearls and somehow try to validate whatever garbage he's trying to validate, that I said she dressed inappropriately. Please don't say inappropriate. Oh my God, you know how that stings. What the hell's wrong with you? Get a hold of yourself.
And now Jimmy's belittling that something can be inappropriate. That's what I'm getting out of this.
So if you're going to do that, I'm going to have to show this tweet of you interacting with Ana. And he tweeted out, if Cenk Uygur masturbates live on the Young Turks, viewers drops to 12 people. If Ana Kasparian does, viewers go up to 6,000. Hashtag TYT Live. Good thing he didn't say inappropriate. And there's Ana. Ana's joking around like with him. So do you understand the culture of the Young Turks? Do you understand the culture of the Young Turks? And Ana jokes along with him. Wow, only 6,000, Kyle? Ha ha.
Maybe Kyle is a friend of Ana's and Ana thinks it's okay to make those kind of jokes. Women can choose who their friends are and decide who is inappropriate or not. Maybe she just didn't have that relationship with Jimmy and Jimmy made a mistake. And then he found that out and why he apologized. Maybe Kyle and Ana were friends to a point where they could make jokes. I think it's a little weird anyway. What a weird thing to put live on tweeting. I mean, it is 2013, so maybe they hadn't picked a direction yet, but that is a weird tweet. I'm trying to think of them now. I don't think that tweet would happen now at all. I think back then that was the way the show kind of was, and I think they probably did joke sexually quite a bit, which again does not excuse what Jimmy did, because a woman can decide who she takes certain comments from and who she doesn't. So can a man, by the way. So I don't think this proves what you did, what Jimmy did was wrong or right. I mean, I don't think this proves what Jimmy did was right. I think it just shows that Kyle was able to joke with Ana in this way. That's all that really proves. I don't think everybody's going to think that, because it's on a very surfacey level. It's not comparing apples to apples, it's apples to oranges. Yeah, I mean, I get what he's saying, but you're not Kyle. Apparently Kyle's allowed to talk to her like that on Twitter.
This is the
So by Kyle's standards, where he said he wanted to punch you in the face for saying that her skirt was inappropriate or her dress was inappropriate, should Kyle not punch himself in the face?
Kyle, why don't you punch yourself
for joking about them masturbating on air?
Again, 2013's a long time ago. I'm different. What's that? 8 years ago? This is actually even before the skirt incident. Again, Kyle was talking about what Jimmy said a couple weeks ago, and maybe Kyle's a very different person now. I mean, I don't know what his show was like back in 2013, or if he even had a show. He must have, right? Just a weird tweet, man. They must have been good friends.
What? Why is Kyle going to punch himself in the face for that? You're going to puff your chest up and punch yourself in the face?
Kyle would probably say, I can't believe I was that much of an idiot back then. I mean, I can picture Kyle being like, did I say stupid stuff in 2013? God damn right I did, because I was a moron. He'd probably bring up his age, and he would tell you that he was wrong. That's probably what he would say. I don't know. However, if he just started laughing about how hysterical that joke is, oh, God, and then Ana said, only 6,000? And then apologized because the other day he was sexually rude to Ana or something. Or not the other day. But then apologized for being sexually rude. Like, if Ana brought that up, let's say Ana brings this up, sends Kyle a text that says, remember that tweet when you were sexually rude to me? And this is totally hypothetical. And then Kyle's saying, making a video about how this all happened, and Ana sent him this tweet, and then starts talking about how funny that tweet was. And he sent her a card and said sorry and said that never happened again. And then if he was laughing about it again, I would think he was being insincere or handling it wrong. So people say things. I've said shit before that if someone just were able to just go plop and stick it here, you'd be able to go, oh, geez, I guess I am the worst person in the world. But if you brought that up, I mean, I've been in fights with people and said, I wish you'd die. If they brought that up, I would say sorry. And at least I hope I would say sorry. That was wrong for me to wish death upon you. I might bring up that we were fighting and I said something that just out of anger, but I certainly wouldn't start laughing about it and say, but wasn't it funny that I said it? Because you get it.
So there's nothing that proves Kyle's outrage to be pretend more than this tweet. So that's why I'm showing.
You can't judge somebody from 2013 and say that proves that what he said a couple days ago is bullshit. When Kyle said that, he meant it, and it's clear he meant it because his emotions and the way he said it was sincere and legit from what he was talking about.
Showing you this because that's the way they all talk to each other. But
that tweet is weird.
That's the way they all talk, and for him to leave out the blackmail part and pretend like I just wanted to humiliate Ana Kasparian for no fucking reason. No, I was telling that story, maybe in an indelicate way. I was telling that story because I was being blackmailed.
He's almost apologizing. He knows that what he did because I bet enough people told him, hey, what you said, it sucked. He knows it.
By someone who was doing McCarthy smears of anti-war journalists, starting with Julian Assange and ending with Aaron Mate. That's why I had to tell that story. That's why I had to bring that up. Instead of fucking feeling for your buddy who's being falsely accused of the most heinous thing you can and has to defend himself and doesn't have any practice doing it.
You may not have practice doing it. You may not have practice doing it. But you may not have practice doing it, but people can tell whether you're being sincere or not. And laughing about it makes it feel very insincere.
You're going to do that? You're going to clutch your pearls and pretend that something I did was worse than this?
I don't think Kyle was thinking about this tweet when he said that. I think he was in the middle of a conversation and said that because he felt it in the moment. I don't think he was like, if somebody said this about my mother, my sister, or my girlfriend, I'd wait a minute. I had a tweet in 2013 that was pretty bad, so never mind. No. I mean, if you guys were having a coffee and he said, you know, what you said really pissed me off. If you said that about my mother, or my girlfriend, or my sister, I'd fucking beat the shit out of you. And then you'd said, oh, yeah? Well, I got this tweet right here from 2013. Look how rude you were to Ana. He might go, that is rude. Why would... And she's playing along. I don't know what he would say, but to bring up something from 2013 to say that what he said a couple days ago is bullshit is insane. That does not dismiss his sincerity. It doesn't dismiss anything. However, he probably should have mentioned, to keep it equal, if he believes this, I hope he does, that Ana's tweet was bad. Not good.
Are they clutching their pearls while masturbating?
Are you masturbating while clutching your pearls? Oh, how many viewers? Come on. I mean, this is just nuts what he did there. And so, again, it's just mind-boggling that Kyle did this. And his own fans are calling him out for it. And here's something interesting.
I also don't like the way when he was talking about the old TYT shows that are really awful, by the way, the ones where they're just body shaming women and stuff, and they are. And then you find out that at one point they have Britney Spears, I think it was, getting out of a limousine, and you can see up her skirt, and she wasn't wearing underwear. But in the article they were looking at, there was something over her private areas, and then Cenk says out loud, don't worry, we'll put the uncensored video on tyt.com. My head just went boom, because that's so messed up to think the people that I've been watching for 5 years used to do a show like that. It's hard to wrap my head around that. However, that doesn't mean the person that talks about progressive views now is not being sincere. It just means back then those videos suck. It is possible for people to change over 7, 8, 9 years. They can. It's really common, actually. especially on things like that. Now, when Cenk's with his buddies, does he make rude comments about girls? Maybe, I don't know. But the simple fact that he can tell the difference when not to and when to shows a certain amount of respect for people. So I wouldn't say that those videos make me think that their progressive views now should be ignored. I think the progressive movement needs as many allies as possible. And if one of the allies is somebody that used to make really stupid videos a long time ago, I mean, if I became some huge progressive voice and you looked at old video game videos that I'd made, you're going to find shit that I said in there that's stupid. No problem. It doesn't mean that I don't think that we should have Medicare for all, because I do, and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's bad argument. Stupid tweet. Dumb videos back then was.
The video he did, yesterday he had 7,000 dislikes on it, right? So by the thousands, his old fans.
This is weird.
I'll show you something interesting about that later. So his own fans, the fact that you didn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole is exactly why Ana used this method to attack Jimmy. And then Kyle does all these bullshit false equivalencies and validates it instead of calling it out for what it was. And he knew he was doing wrong because you saw the text I sent him that detailed what he was doing. You saw the text that I showed at the top of this segment. And he knew what he was doing and did it anyway. And that's a heartbreaker. This is under his video. That's 159 likes under his own video.
Yeah. Probably Jimmy Dore fans.
Bringing it up again will humiliate her. She brought it up. 687 likes under Kyle's own video.
Yeah, what Jack doesn't remember is he said, the way you brought it up. Not that you brought it up. The way you brought it up. It's such an important point.
These are his own viewers. 687 of them. The most important part is omitted, the blackmail threat. You failed to address Ana's threat. The threat was made because Jimmy defended Aaron, and it was based on her having a written apology from Jimmy that she was going to weaponize and conflate into something it wasn't. And that's what that message was. Message was to say, Jimmy, I've got this stuff that I can twist, and you know that #MeToo is nuclear, and so I can smear you with this, and you better stop running your mouth.
When Ana told Cenk that she wrote that text to Jimmy, Cenk must have been like, what in the world are we going to do? That text is brutal.
He left that out. He left that out. And his own fans, again, here's more. Didn't Jimmy bring up the Ana story only because he was threatened?
All right, I just thought of a point. This is actually a pretty good point that kind of wrecks a bunch of stuff I've said, but I'm going to say it because I just thought of it. Blackmail would be if you said, and if you don't stop running your mouth, I will come forward with this stuff. But she actually says it's more of a revenge text than a blackmail, now that I think about it a little further. She says, all the stuff that you've been saying, people think you're such a hero. Well, I'm going to change that. Actually isn't blackmail. Oh my God, why have I not thought of that until right now? That isn't blackmail. That's a threat. That's, I'm going to tell everybody what you did. Not unless you decide to, I don't know, shut up. That's blackmail. Wow. Why the hell haven't I thought of that before?
That story would be used to smear him. Then he just explained the story before TYT told the story in the worst light possible. You're framing it like Jimmy went for a below-the-belt attack when it seems like he went on an aggressive defense to prevent a below-the-belt attack towards him from being effective. 78 likes his own. Of course, that's what it is. And so, and for whatever reason, Kyle misframed this in the most egregious way possible. Just in, Kyle doesn't give a shit about blackmail. So you're okay with blackmailing? This is his own viewers.
It's not blackmail.
I think you have the right to stay out of any issue, especially of personal ones. I don't think the Aaron Matei issues are drama. 696 likes. This is, again, under his own video. Kulinski edited the story to manufacture a false equivalency so he could claim they were both in the wrong. He said at the beginning that he's friends with all these people and seems to think that it's such an imposition to be dragged into it that it's therefore his job to punish everyone equally. But he's misrepresented Jimmy to protect his friendship with Ana, who doesn't deserve anyone's friendship and which he shouldn't have with her to begin with. So this won't be the end of it.
Wrong things were done in both ways.
The only time Kyle gets visibly angry and nasty at anyone in this video is at Jimmy for his comments of Anna's inappropriate dress. Who the F are you? And so on, he says. Never at Ana for blackmailing Jimmy with the hashtag #MeToo in the first place. Never at Cenk and Ana for smearing Aaron as a Russian agent. Never at Cenk and Ana for her history of gross sexist, misogynist content on their show. Never at Cenk and Ana for taking millions in corporate money, something he claims he resents. He says all of them are his friends, but I think he's disingenuous, and it's clear where his alliances lie. Jimmy is obviously too crude and radical for the new Kyle and his establishment career ambitions. Well, I don't know about that part, but...
Yeah, Jimmy, look, I don't think this is about career ambitions. I just want to make that clear.
No, I don't think so. I disagree with that.
This must, like, obviously they have personal friendships with these smear artists, and okay, it's hard to go against your friends, but where I think they deserve criticism here, and again, they're not the bad guy here. It was Cenk and Ana
that's correct.
Started this and continued.
That's correct.
But where I think that Kyle and Crystal have opened themselves up for some legit criticism here is Kyle, especially with this segment, trying to draw a false equivalency between the smear artists and those who are responding to their smears. And in the case of you, to their blackmail too. You just can't do that. It's disingenuous. And I hope that they'll reflect on that. I don't want anybody to cancel them, to cast doubt on their motives. Friendships lead to awkward things, and it's hard to go against your friends. I get that. It's their right to be friends with whoever they want. But I think that by belittling our response as drama, and again, especially the comments about you and how you responded to blackmail, and omitting the fact that you were blackmailed, I think that's what we're criticizing here. It's a narrow criticism. I hope they think about it after watching this.
I just want to show you under his own video, his comment. It's hard to find a comment that isn't criticizing Kyle. It's comment after comment because people saw what he did, and it's very painful for me. So I'm glad other people saw it, right?
Okay, you're glad other people saw it. I'm not sure why you need to validate what you're thinking with obviously Jimmy Dore fans talking underneath Kyle's video. I'm not sure. If I think something wrong, and I go, look, all these people over here think it too. That's pretty much Trump presidency, isn't it?
It still rattles me a lot, and it's painful. I'm not kidding.
I believe
bringing it up again will
serious.
humiliate her. She brought it up. 709 likes. So are you seriously saying there's no such thing as dressing inappropriately? That also, Jimmy brought it up, the news skirt comment, because Ana was going to use it against him. That was his way of getting ahead of it since they've tried to me. So now, again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Dore's addressing Anna's tweet. Did she not accuse him of sexual harassment on Twitter? Boom, 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 boom. In a row. Here's more. Here's right in a row. I didn't have to search these out. Every freaking comment's like this. You got it all wrong. The dressing came up only because Jimmy had to defend himself from Anna's disgusting #MeToo accusations. You're exposing TYT by what you're not saying here. So according to you, both sides are right. Isn't that precious? Kyle, you have shown you your true colors, and I'm not surprised when I watched you referred to a squad as not being corrupt. So just one after another, after another, after another. So that's not me saying it. That's everyone else who watched the video who's a fan of his who saw it. And so I don't know why he did that. It really just...
You would have preferred that he came out and said what was actually happening
Right.
and put a stop to the smears. That's
Yes.
really what his
All he
announcement should have been.
All he had to do was, boy, it's awfully fucked up what Ana and Cenk are doing, and and everybody knows it, and that's that. That would have been enough.
Yeah, and why is that so hard to say? Why is that hard to say? That's the part I don't get for a lot of people involved. You know, what's cool, Jimmy, about this is a lot of like younger, new voices that I hadn't heard of before have emerged to actually defend us, and I appreciate that. Jackson, Hinkle.
Danny Boy Hinkle? I call him Danny Boy. Jackson Hinkle?
Danny Boy, yeah. Yes. But so, you know, he's emerged to defend us, and I appreciate that.
And he's eloquent, too, and he gets it right.
Yeah, he does. And it's just, again, I'm not asking that everyone like cover this every single day and make this their top issue, but it's like, what's so hard just about saying, hey, smearing someone and blackmail someone is not acceptable. We just don't do that. You can criticize them all you want. You know, you can criticize our positions. You know, there are things like that. Again, I can give you a whole list of suggestions for things to criticize me on that I think would be in good faith. But you can't lie about people and invent like sexual harassment allegations because you're being criticized for being a pro-war McCarthyite. That's just not cool. And especially if you're friends with these people, I think personally you have even more of an obligation to speak out. Now, if you don't, or whatever, like that's your right. But you can't. If you don't speak out, don't try to defend it. Just say, you know what, they're my friends. I don't want to say anything about my friends. Just be honest about that. That would have been the most honest thing for Kyle to say. You know what, these people are my friends. I don't want to criticize my friends publicly. That would have been disappointing, but at least it would have been honest. Him trying to make you somehow at fault here is completely unfair.
Yeah, I just wow. I can't wait to see the wording Kyle uses when he's smeared in the sleaziest way possible with a fraudulent #MeToo accusation. I hope he chooses the right words. So here's the interesting thing I wanted to show people. So
this is weird.
I showed you before it had 7,000 dislikes on it yesterday. This morning, it's down to 5,000 dislikes. So remember when YouTube said they were going to start taking dislikes off stuff? They're doing it. They did it. They're doing it to Kyle's video. Isn't that interesting?
It is weird.
I'm not making that up. Last night I showed you was 7,000 dislikes, and today it's 5. That's just I just said that. I'm not saying Kyle's doing that. Kyle's not. That's what YouTube's doing that now. Isn't that wild? So when you go there, you don't get the right impression of what's happening. So I wonder how high it actually is, the dislikes. I wonder if it was 7,000 last night. You know, it's got to be way more than that now. So, and that's a lot of dislikes for your own video.
Gentlemen, for the record, I have a quick question. What could remedy this? Just one more time. What could remedy this between Kyle and, you know?
Well, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I just wanted to get my side out. Kyle got his side out. I got my side out. People can see what's happening. People could see without me actually I was debating on whether even to do this segment because
it's the longest video I think he's ever done
over it. He's buried himself, right? They keep trying to shovel shit at Jimmy Dore, but they're doing it into a headwind, and it keeps flying right back at them. That's what's been happening to Ana and Cenk, and now it just happened with Kyle. And I almost didn't even want to do this, but I had to. And so now people can see my side of it. Oh, by the way, here's the Young Turks. When this is the Young Turks respond to Jimmy Dore. They didn't respond to anything. They just smeared me. They didn't respond to my criticism that they smeared Julian Assange. They didn't respond to my criticism that they lied about #forced to vote and said McCarthy could become speaker. They didn't respond to my criticism that they smeared Aaron Matei. They didn't respond to my criticisms that they do shady fundraising.
You know, this is a really good point. I remember when Jimmy Dore was talking a lot about all the different reporting that TYT was doing that he thought was wrong. And I remember thinking, he thought the left was wrong. But it was clearly TYT. I remember thinking, why doesn't Cenk or Ana or John or anybody debunk these things that Jimmy's saying? Because TYT would say something, and I don't know. I'm looking to these people to tell me things, you know, that I don't know. You know, this is their full-time job, so I'm assuming that they do research. And then Jimmy's saying, my God, these things that TYT is saying is wrong, and here's why. And I'd be like, oh my God, Jimmy makes all these great points. If I were TYT, I'd be like, and this is why you're wrong. Because it's important that if someone that was a huge part of your show leaves and goes and starts another show, and that person starts doing really well, and then that person tells all of his fans that are also or used to be your fans that you're wrong about something so important like Russiagate, you would think that you would address that specifically, not just keep talking about Russiagate. Say, no, okay, Jimmy Dore said this because we said this, and this is why he's wrong, and here's the evidence. I was waiting for that so many times, and maybe I missed it, but I wanted those videos to come out. Because if somebody said to Jimmy Dore, said in a video, hey, Jimmy, he said some stuff the other day about Assange, and here's why he's totally wrong, Jimmy would get to work on a video right after that to explain why that person was wrong. Or he might, I don't know, say, oh, wow, I didn't see that. I don't know. I don't know if that would happen or not, but I hope so.
All they did was smear me with a hashtag, a phony bullshit hashtag Me Too thing. That's not responding. And look how many dislikes they got. So this is with YouTube taking dislikes away. Keep that in mind. They have 16,000 dislikes under their own goddamn video. By the thousands, their own people are voting them down. And now keep in mind, YouTube's taking a lot of those away. So they get, and the video they did to try to debunk our Syria thing got unbelievably ratioed. It got twice as many dislikes as the likes. So,
and this is why, Jim, you know, again, it's like for me personally, although it was annoying to get smeared, on the positive side, as we've talked about, it did bring some attention to the OPCW Syria scandal. The Young Turks did what other media outlets refused to do, which is put some attention, although in their case inadvertently, on this explosive story that we've been covering for 2 years now, the cover-up at the OPCW of the Syria chemical weapons allegation and the brave whistleblowers who called it out. So for me, actually, although I was smeared and slandered, there was a benefit that at least they brought some attention to this story.
That is true.
That is the most important story I've ever covered. Now, when they tried to make up for that, though, by bringing you in and blackmailing you and smearing you, that's where I feel responsible. And that's why I feel responsible, although I'd love to move on, to keep speaking out until it's recognized that what they did to you was just as malicious and awful as what they did to me. And people can't discuss this whole thing seriously if they're not willing to acknowledge what they tried to do to you. And that's why in this video with Kyle, he doesn't even mention the blackmail part, because it undermines the whole premise of the criticism of you, which is that you were just.
Okay. It ends in a couple seconds. I think most of all, I would like to just say the progressive movement needs allies. So guys, please stop fighting with each other somehow. If you guys disagree with policy, then it's okay to call each other out. Just don't be so vicious about it. Because you can say all day long that we don't mind people criticizing. That's what you're supposed to do as a journalist. But if you say stuff that's personally rude, the people are eventually going to be personally rude back. And if progressives can't talk to each other about what they disagree with, how are we ever going to get conservatives to come to the table and have a conversation? Progressives need to stop fighting amongst each other. I'm not trying to belittle any of these points or any of these people's feelings at all. I'm just saying, I don't think it would have escalated to this, to be honest, if people weren't being so goddamn rude to each other. You say A, I say it's B. You say A, you're a fucking moron and I think you're a Russian hack, and you are a Nazi scumbag, and you're a racist. I mean, and I think it's B. Why do we have to insult each other? I mean, if you want to just go, oh my God, that person, I can't believe you thought this. You're so, be emotional, sure, but chill on the insults, really. Insults just going to start fights. Anyway, it's a long ass video. I don't know how much I'm going to cut out of it, but I hope it does well. And I'm going to say that as transparently as I possibly can. I hope this video does well, because I would love some inspiration to make more videos. I made a few, and they're gotten three views and stuff, and I don't work well with that. But please subscribe, like, share, and don't be afraid to have a conversation with people. Bury your emotions and try to change people's minds, not make them feel bad. The worst way to have a conversation is start out by saying, hey, you're an idiot. Like, okay, I guess I'm not going to talk to you. But that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot. I'm Jason Argento with How's That Logical? See ya.